What's up, y'all? Talon here today of the team that was able to take first place in the Pokemon World Championship this weekend in the Masters Division. Luca Ceribelli, Siri VGC, I'll have his information linked in the description below, his Twitter account mainly. He was able to take this really hyper-offensive Miraidon team to Championship Sunday and take it all against his opponent in a really exciting Game 3, so I definitely recommend checking that set out. This is my recreation of his team. I do have his HP EVs at least pretty close, but I'm not entirely sure of all the offensive and speeds on the team, so I did my best there. But if Luca does end up releasing his rental team or his Pokepaste featuring all the EV spreads, I'll have that in the pinned comment below, as well as updating the description, so definitely check that out if you're looking to take it on the ladder yourself. With all that being said, I think I'm going to go into a breakdown of the team. If you enjoy these type of videos, the resources they provide, please subscribe. Going to be doing lots of content on the Worlds teams, as well as the Regulation H teams that are developing in the metagame coming up for the next season. So yeah, if you enjoy that type of thing, subscribe to the channel, and with all that being said, let's hop into the breakdown. So I think 5 out of 6 of the Pokemon in this team were all pretty standard coming into the World Championship on Miraidon compositions. A lot of people shifting towards the Tera Fairy Miraidon just because it handles its counters in things like Iron Hands and Raging Bolt a little bit better, while still maintaining the power of the Electro Drifts with the Hadron Engine and Choice Specs in the electric terrain. So definitely a very strong Pokemon. I had it in the S tier above Calyrex-Ice Rider for the tier list that I released before Worlds, and it did end up besting a Calyrex-Ice Rider in the finals, although a Calyrex Shadow Rider, which I had S tier above it, was nowhere to be seen, but we'll ignore that. But yeah, Miraidon definitely on people's radar coming into this Worlds, and people were trying to answer it with their counters with Raging Bolt and Iron Hands, so having the anti-meta Tera of Tera Fairy was definitely picking up among Japanese circles, and Luca definitely picked up on that and piloted it to a first place here. The Whimsicott is also pretty standard on these compositions, going for the Covert Cloak Light Screen set instead of Focus Sash Protect. Essentially, this is a lot bulkier of a set than the Focus Sash set, so you're able to stick around a little bit longer, maybe get 2 Tailwinds up and support the team with Light Screen, which is definitely super appreciated. The Urshifu is a kind of a new wrinkle. I think the Farigiraf and the Iron Hands, and then usually it's an Urshifu, but usually it's the single strike one. This one is the Rapid Strike, just taking advantage of the really potent coverage of the close combat and surging strikes, as well as the priority to clean up anything that Miraidon isn't able to knock out with Aqua Jet. I do like that a fair bit. And then the Farigiraf is the same Electric Seed Farigiraf that has been doing very well throughout the year on Miraidon teams. The Electric Seed with max defense to basically wall out a Calyrex-Ice Rider in Trick Room, switch in on its attacks, and then if necessary go for Terra Water on the Farigiraf to tank those Glacial Lances from Calyrex-Ice even better, and then answer back with foul plays, forcing them to Terastallize if they don't want to get to it KO'd, and even doing a lot of damage if they have picked up an attack boost if they have Terra'd. So it's a cool set. Psychic Noise, very cool into Amoonguss. You can stop them from healing with Regenerator after they switch out, or even Pollen Puffing themselves. You can Psychic Noise the Amoonguss partner, and then a Pollen Puff into it will not activate the healing effect of that move, which is a cool side effect. And then Psychic Noise also really effective into Iron Hands, which would otherwise do a lot of damage with your team, and heal up with Drain Punch. You can just Psychic Noise it, and then it can't use Drain Punch at all. Speaking of Iron Hands, we have our own here. Terrabug is an interesting Terra type. It has the benefit of basically making you resist the ground type moves that would otherwise be super effective against you, while also resisting fighting type coverage, which can be very important against opposing Iron Hands. The set is interesting in that it has low kick, which was picking up into Worlds. It was really potent on the Miraidon teams though, just because with the Quark Drive attack boost, low kick is a 2-hit KO consistently on Calyrex-Ice Rider without even having to go for Wild Charge to take recoil damage or use a move like Close Combat. It is the same base power against Calyrex-Ice Rider as a Close Combat with no drawbacks. So that's definitely very nice. A lot of people were very scared of Calyrex-Ice Rider coming into Worlds, so this team definitely has a great matchup into it. The last Pokemon on the team is the Ogerpon Hearthflame, which has been picking up again. There was one specific Japanese team that popularized the Ogerpon and the Miraidon compositions, and it just has been going strong since then. But the general focus here is a pretty bulky Ogerpon to tank hits and protect the Miraidon, while also offering the Ivy Cudgel to knock out a Rillaboom switch in, or just if they lead the Rillaboom, you're immediately pressuring it with the Ivy Cudgels, which people oftentimes do. Lead the Rillaboom in a Miraidon and just stifle its electric terrain right off the bat. Once again, congratulations to Luca on making it to first place. There were a lot of people in this tournament with pretty much the exact same team, but only he was able to pilot it to first place overall. Once again, if Luca does upload his exact rental code for the World Championship, he might not, just because we will be replaying Regulation G later on in this 2025 season, so he might not want to reveal the EV spreads, but if he does, I will have that updated in the description below, along with a pinned comment just saying that he has uploaded it. So yeah, with all that being said, if you enjoy the videos, please subscribe to the channel. A lot more on the way for both the Worlds coverage as well as the Regulation H format coming in the start of September. So with all that being said, let's get into the battles now. All right, my opponent has a Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Whimsicott, Chi-Yu, Indeedee, Urshifu, and Ogerpon. So very aggressive team from them. I think if I lead the Whimsicott and set up Light Screen, I could be fine against the Calyrex. It's not ideal, but it could be okay. Urshifu looks solid enough. Even in Trick Room, most things should be outspeeding it, and I can answer back with a Surging Strike. The Focus Sash is pretty cool as well, but the bulk is not that ideal. Hard to say. I think with the Assault Vest, I'll be tanking hits, potentially getting 3 KO'd if I get the Light Screen up, so I do like that, and I think I will go with the Farigiraf in the back. Yeah, Urshifu is tempting, but I'm probably not going to be able to Aqua Jet the Chi-Yu anyway, so we'll go with this. I think my main concern is... yeah, got to be a little worried about Expanding Force, but I think with Light Screen, even if they're Choice Specs, I might have a chance to live on some of my Pokemon. But I have to be careful and potentially preserve my Terra to deal with that. Like Calyrex Shadow Rider would be really scary here as a lead with Whimsicott. I could, just because I don't know the roles with Light Screen really. I could go for Tailwind Draco Meteor if they do that though, so maybe I just go for that. It's just an issue because I don't know if I live the Astral Barrage. I would imagine I do. Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to run the calculation then. Just to verify. Miraidon, Astral Barrage. With a Light Screen up, I should tank that pretty easily, honestly. How can I answer back? I kind of just want to set up Trick Room, honestly. And let's check my damage into them. Because maybe with Dazzling Gleam and Psychic Terrain, I can still knock like 2 at KO at least. Whoopsie. Let's try it. Yeah, they're going to switch out, going for the probably Expanding Force. I wonder if I live that. That's going to be a little tricky. Expanding Force, Psychic Terrain. Yeah, I should live. Yeah, I should live that pretty easily. And Dazzling Gleam is roughly at 2 at KO, depending on their bulk. Oops. Sorry about the screen. Yeah, this should be solid for me. So we don't see a Terrestrialization from them unless they are a modest Calyrex, which would be kind of crazy, underspeeding a timid Miraidon. Ooh, I actually calced with modest, so I might not 2 at KO them here. I do think this was the correct play though. We're going to take the Expanding Force unless they crit. Yeah, we take it with both, which is really cool. It is a Life Orb. That's even better, because that means they are probably chipping themselves into range, and this should be a 2 at KO. Yeah, very nice, yeah. So Light Screen Whimsicott coming in very clutch there. We would have lived on the Miraidon, but we would not have... I mean, we would have traded Tailwinds, and then we just knock it out anyway, so I think it's fine. They're probably going to protect the Calyrex now. That's a little annoying. Maybe I should have Tailwind and switched to the Farigiraf. Yeah, I think I would have made that play, running it back. Yep, fair enough. So they're going to get a boost, unfortunately. This was definitely a misplay. I should have Tailwinded and switched into the Farigiraf here. Knocking out the Indeedee is actually quite bad, because it gives them a free swap into their... yeah, it's not great, that's for sure. But I can maybe flip it on them and get Trick Room up, and that's probably what I have to go for. So I did get my Light Screen up. I'm not going to have it forever, but yeah, that was just not a heads-up play of me. Out into the Whimsicott, fair enough. So it's probably going to be in another Expanding Force. In fact, it almost certainly is. So to cover for that, what do we do? I think we probably... I wish I could Encore them. Yeah, imagine if I had gotten the... I mean, I probably don't. I don't knock out the Indeedee that turn, and then I can't Encore them the next turn. Or rather, yeah, if I go for Tailwind that turn, they just knock me out, and then I can't Encore them this turn. So regardless, I think we will just go for a probably Moonblast into the Whimsicott, and I know it's Helping Hand on this guy, so like on the off chance that I outspeed it, I will go into the Moonblast into the Calyrex Shadow Rider spot and Iron Hands. We're trying to get that in. Going to be hard to, but I think we need to set up Trick Room this game. Helping Hand, it's going to be tough, but the Whimsicott having Helping Hand probably on this team, or Fake Tears. I guess with the Expanding Force, it'd probably not be that. How much does this do? Even with screens doing a lot of damage, and they're going to get boosted even further, but we can at least take that damage away. So Life Orb is chipping them down, fortunately. I think I'm going to go into the Miraidon here instead of the hands. Basically bluffing, or at least forcing them to take a knockout. So now they can't go for Expanding Force and Astral Barrage, so I think they kind of have to make a choice on what I'm going for here. Which means Iron Hands can come in and potentially clean up. So it's probably like, I wish I had a spread move in the back, unfortunately. I do not. So I've taken away their Expanding Force damage, but I don't want them to be Dark Pulse or something silly. So I could switch out. I think I'll play it safe and go for Dazzling Gleam just because I think I have to, or rather it's not necessary for me to take a risk. If they're the Terra Dark or like Pollen Puff and they can knock out my Farigiraf in one hit, I don't want them to do that and I didn't get any mileage out, so they're going for the Terra Fairy. I wonder if they're Draining Kiss. I don't think that will knock me out. I'm not entirely sure why they went for that. Helping Hand, sure. So they're trying to knock me out with what? Draining Kiss into the Farigiraf? Yeah, that's exactly why I stayed in. Kind of a weird Helping Hand. I think that was going to knock me out regardless, but that's fine. Because I have Electric Train up. I think I'll knock them out with a Wild Charge now. 2 Psychic Noises probably doesn't get there. Okay. I kind of see what angle they're playing towards here. If they have the Ogerpon in the back, then what they can try to do is protect this turn, and then without any spread moves, I can't knock them out. Yeah, if they just switch out the Whimsicott, they're in great shape. So I think I'm going to go for Drain Punch, Psychic Noise into the Whimsicott. Even though it looks a little weird, I think it's the right play. Yeah. Because if they switch in the Ogerpon, I can't let them do that under any circumstances, and if they just attack here, fair enough. Well played. They do protect though, and they don't switch out, which is kind of interesting to me. I think now I should probably not knock them out. Yeah, Encore not going to work there. Not sure why they didn't go for Moonblast. Probably just a brain fart. Fair enough. Psychic Noise should not knock them out. If they do, if I like get a crit here and it brings in the Ogerpon, that's really bad. Cool. Should be a KO here for the Psychic Noise then. My light screen has worn off though. So I think we're in the same situation where I actually don't want to knock out the Whimsicott here. Do I think Drain Punch Psychic Noise is going to be a KO here into them? How bulky, or like how heavy is Calyrex Shadow Rider? Because I feel like a low kick could knock them out. Low kick versus Terra Fairy in electric terrain. It's probably not going to be enough. I think I still just don't want to give them the free switch in, so I'm going to go for a Wild Charge and a Psychic Noise into that slot. They're going for Helping Hand, so they're just staying in. I think Wild Charge is definitely a KO, and with Trick Room we'll move first, so happy about how I played at least the later turns of this battle, but I think earlier on, just KOing the Indeedee was way too obvious. After I saw the Life Orb tick, I know that they probably have Protect, so I can play a little aggressively and prime myself for the next turn by not taking the KO that turn. So we do take a double KO. Depending on what they have in the back, I do like our position a fair bit. But yeah, the Farigiraf definitely a key part of your matchup into the Calyrex Shadow Rider. Just the ability to just the presence of it, meaning they can't go for Astral Barrage, is really key. There is the Chi-Yu. They've already burned their Terrestrialization, so we know with certainty Drain Punch is pretty safe, and we will go for a Foul Play to cover for a Focus Sash. They do cancel out. Yeah, good game to them. Definitely got a little tricky. Really solid play on the Protect with their Calyrex Shadow Rider, but we were able to claw it back with the late game Trick Room on the Farigiraf. So typically the Trick Room mode is to counteract another Trick Room team, but in this circumstance using it to flip a hyper offensive matchup on its head, using our very bulky Light Screen and Assault Vested Iron Hands to sweep their otherwise special attacking team. Alright, playing into a mirror here. I think generally the approach is Miraidon early, right? I forget exactly how it went, but it might have just been the Whimsicott and the Miraidon combo. I saw Hearthflame too, like Whimsicott Hearthflame came out a little bit. Just because it forces out a Draco Meteor, which is kind of cool. Yeah. I might go Iron Hands. You do heal a lot with Drain Punch, depending on what they go for. So I may roll the dice on that. I am the Timid Miraidon, which makes potentially just going for the Tailwind mode pretty solid. So I think I'll lean towards that early. How do I handle... If they lock into Dazzling Gleam, I want to have my Hearthflame ready to go. And then probably, Iron Hands defensively is fine. If I go for the Terrestrialization and on there, that's good. Yeah. I think this is... Like, I remember Siri played against, in top 4, a pretty similar matchup to this. So if you want to see the Masters play at it, both him and his South Korean opponent were incredible at the matchup. But Siri proved to be a little bit more effective. I don't remember what he was leading, or the pair of them were leading, so going to be figuring it out on the fly here. Okay, fair enough. We will see who amongst our electric terrains activate first. Mine did, so I could go for a Volt Switch in the Miraidon, reading their Terra Fairy, which would be kind of fun, but I think much safer of a play is simply go for a Dazzling Gleam and a Light Screen. I am then susceptible to a very nasty Tailwind the next turn, or Encore the next turn, which would be kind of bad. So maybe I just go right for the Tailwind. I do have the bulk on this team to potentially tank that, so I think I will go for that. If they go for their own Light Screen, I'll Encore them next turn, and I think it's fine. Yeah, I'm going to go for that, just because I can Encore them next turn, but I might be taking too much damage this turn. We do move first, so if they went for the Terrestrialization, we can almost confirm, like, with 75% likelihood, because we won 2 speed ties, that we are the faster Miraidon, but of course there always is the 25% where they are timid, so we can't confirm it yet. I usually start to confirm it after like 3 speed tie wins. I'm like, okay, 87, I think it's like 87.5% chance that I'm just the faster Pokemon, and yeah, we'll see whose Dazzling Gleam moves first, I think. Okay, Whimsicott moves first, good to confirm, or not confirm, but at least we are moving first here. They are going for the Tailwind, okay. So, might be an Encore war here, or at least, yeah, we move first, so I think we are the faster one. They could go for Electro Drift into my Miraidon, but ooh, big crit under their Whimsicott, that's nice. They drift into my Miraidon, good play. For sure. So I could have Light Screened that. Yeah, people tend to play really aggressive in the Miraidon mirror, but we do take a lot of damage turn 1, and we can Encore lock their Pokemon here, so I think I'm fine with that. I have a free Ivy Cudgel into that slot. I wonder if I go for it here. Like, just into the Miraidon slot. I'm pretty sure Electro Drift does not knock me out. And I can go for a... I guess I Encore their Whimsicott still. Or do I Light Screen if they have Farigiraf? Probably the... They're not doing a lot of damage to me if they do that this turn, so I think that's fine. Let's go for Ivy Cudgel into the Miraidon, because that's a knockout. And... do I predict the switch? Let's get Light Screen up, I think. Just to tank hits a little better in the late game. And if they Encore me, they Encore me. That's fine. I think they might stay in and just try and get a lot of damage with the Electro Drift, so I think Light Screen is correct. But if yeah. I just don't know if they have Farigiraf in the back, so if they do, I really do not want to give anything up here. When I can just like get guaranteed Light Screen up if I'm faster, but Encore would have been great. They do switch it out, so seeing mine move first, potentially indicating they are not the max speed one, but yeah, we'll take the Light Screen. And it also means the Miraidon did not switch out, which is cool to know. So that's all good. Light Screen, we have gone for the Terra, so we can't go for Terra Bug, unfortunately, but Low Kick could be pretty cool here. Yeah, it does a lot of damage. With Light Screen, that would have been close to a KO. But we still probably won't live a Dragon, or like a Drain Punch, unfortunately, and we have locked into Light Screen instead of Moonblast, so they can Encore me still. Which is not ideal, but I can follow me them, I guess. So that's maybe my route here. Who are you going? Yeah, that's Whimsicott. So I could Ivy Cudgel here. I think I'm gonna Spiky Shield switch the Whimsicott and let them tank a little bit of HP from the Spiky Shield. And then answer next turn with potentially Fake Out Switch or Fake Out Attack. I could Low Kick the Iron Hands too, that's probably good on one of these turns. Yeah, definitely a weird mirror. When you get the read turn 1 right, you just get so much more mileage. So if I had like stayed in the normal form Miraidon and just gone for normal Dazzling Gleam, I'm in such a good spot. But yeah, they Fake Out into the Ogerpon. I didn't expect that. I guess they wanted to guarantee Encore, which makes sense. Yeah, cool. That works for me. So I can now go for a... they can Moonblast me for sure, but I think what I want to go for is a... Oh, if I had Encore this turn, that'd be so fire. Who do they likely have in the back? Let's make sure we get Tailwind advantage in the late game. I'm not a fast Iron Hand, so their Ogerpon could be good against me. That's going to be annoying for sure. Because I can just Low Kick them here. Yeah, they're probably tempted to go after the Ogerpon. I'm going to Low Kick the Iron Hands. It's going to do a lot because they are heavy, probably to a KO. But it just depends. I think they're faster. I am a kind of weird, slower Iron Hands, but maybe they are also slow. They Moonblast into my Iron Hands. Good play. Yeah. We move first. That's good to know. They go Drain Punch into the Whimsicott. That's perfect. Because now I can answer back with a Tailwind Low Kick again, and then I'm kind of in a great spot. Like, I can just Encore their Whimsicott. That didn't do a lot of damage at all, honestly. So I think I'm content to take another one. Should I do that? Is that necessary? Let's just go Tailwind. Like, I think I'm in such a strong spot if I play this endgame right. So let's just go for Low Kick into the Iron Hands, take the guaranteed damage. I think that confirmed that we're... Not confirmed, but it's pretty unlikely they are also 29 Speed IV Iron Hands, so let's go for that. They didn't go for an Encore lock into my Tailwind, which would have been a crazy good play, but ultimately probably still a disadvantage. Yeah, being a very middling speed Iron Hands works out great for us here because they probably went with the much easier to get Brave one, but I just happened to have gotten an Iron Hands earlier in the season with this IV for another team, so that works out well. And it is Urshifu in the back. Okay. I can just Encore lock the Whimsicott, I believe. I've moved faster so many times at this point, it feels kind of ridiculous. Let's just go for a Drain Punch into the Urshifu. Yeah, that feels right. Yeah, we do move first. Yeah, very unlikely they were also max speed and lost that many speed ties. I'm going for the Drain Punch just because I just need to chip this guy into range for a Moonblast or a Ivy Cudgel or Power Whip. Yeah, and we are EV'd on the Whimsicott to take this pretty easily. No need to wild charge and take a lot of damage when they could be going for close combat or Surging Strike this turn, and we don't knock them out anyways. So now we have all sorts of knockouts primed this next turn. So even though the turns went pretty bad, the first couple turns went kind of poorly, a little awkward. I think with the low kick Iron Hands, we were able to swing it pretty hard on the Drain Punch. The turn they Drain Punched into my Whimsicott was really not ideal for them. So I can just go for a Moonblast into the Urshifu and a Drain Punch, I believe, and that should be GG. Yeah, they can Aqua Jet me, which is fine, but yeah, doesn't matter. Probably not a KO in the first place. So yeah, that's an example of how the mirror can go. The first turn, definitely very volatile. Alright, my opponent has what looks like Patrick Connor's NAIC team, the Calyrex-Ice Rain team, with the Rillaboom over the typical Amoonguss. Pretty strong. Generally very strong against Miraidon, because usually you can kind of just bulldoze over everything with Draco Meteor on this team in electric terrain, but they have something to override that terrain, as well as a Pokemon that can survive pretty easily with the Sun. Or basically, they can set up the Sun, so I can't just Ivy Cudgel their Rillaboom. So that's kind of annoying. I do think leading Fake Out is pretty solid for me, potentially. Urshifu, I think, tends to be pretty strong here as well, although they are a water type. Calyrex, we do have reason to be worried about that, but I think Iron Hands is like a reasonable lead here. Whimsicott could be fine, but like Light Screen isn't that effective. I don't love the Hearth Flame here in the rain, so I will lead with this, I think. Yeah, seems solid. So I'm kind of thinking that I want to reverse things on them, where they're going to lead the Rillaboom most likely to try to stop my electric terrain, but I can switch in my Farigiraf to stop their fake outs, and I can also switch in my Miraidon to stop their Woodhammer from doing a lot of damage, as well as give myself the terrain. But if a U-turn, that does kind of muck things up, but I think them bringing Incineroar seems relatively unlikely this battle, so I think I will have a lot of damage coming out from my own Iron Hand, so I'm going to be relying on that pretty heavily, most likely. One detriment of the Terabug, though, is we are... Oh, that is not what I was expecting. That is so weak to Miraidon as a lead, but they don't go for it. What I can do is just Surging Strike the Incineroar. And that seems pretty solid. I can switch into Farigiraf, but... yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll need the Terabug or the Terawater here. I'm not really looking to... So taking damage on Farigiraf is not ideal, but given I have the Iron Hands, it's less of a big deal, I think. I'm going to go for Surging Strike into the Incineroar and switch out into the Farigiraf. And they can punish this by going for Glacial Lance and a switch on the Incineroar or a Terastallization, but if they do that, I think I'm pretty happy overall. The cool thing about their Rain is they will be powering up their Urshifu, and of course... Oh, Iron Hand switches out first, which implies they did not switch their Incineroar, which is cool. But yeah, my idea here is... Okay, they are going for the Terastallization right off the bat. Hopefully that's the Calyrex, because then I can Wild Charge it, but it could easily be the Incineroar. Nope, we should be knocking out the Incineroar then. So Terra Water is very nice, because so they can punish us this turn with Glacial Lance, but if they're bringing my Pokemon low, eventually I'll get my Iron Hands in. Yeah, they just fall for the Fake Out. Farigiraf play, a classic, and we should be knocking out the Incineroar. Yep. And this isn't the Rocky Helmet Incineroar that was popularized at Worlds. At NASE, Safety Goggles was still the most popular item, so clean KO there. And a Burn Terastallization against a Electric type attacking team. I am very happy about that. And they go for Trick Room. Okay. So I might just commit my Terastallization early on my Farigiraf. Well, Rillaboom could be a problem, actually. Gonna be a challenge to get my Miraidon in safely. Raging Bolt. Okay, interesting. I might just reverse the Trick Room. That's interesting. Yeah, I can't go for the Terastallization as easily. But I kind of have them locked down pretty hard with Dazzling Gleam late game. I think. Well, they have Rillaboom in the back, surely, still. Not a excellent spot, but not the worst. I kind of just like Detect switch to Iron Hands a little bit. Seems solid to me. Yeah, trying to preserve my resources as well as I can. They could be doubling into the Iron Hands here, so I might be taking more damage than I would like, but I think that's fine. If I can stall this battle out, I should be able to 1v1 everything with Dazzling Gleam and Close Combat. Glacial Lance coming out, sure. Maybe I should just lead with the Farigiraf and Miraidon next time to guarantee that I have the Electric Seed up. That probably makes more sense. And they doubled into the Urshifu, which I thought it would be into the Farigiraf because they just gave me a chance to reset Trick Room there, but that's fine. They have to Draco me. I can Wild Charge them. How many turns of Trick Room left? 2. Okay. I am -1, so this won't do a lot of damage, unfortunately. I kind of just want to switch to Miraidon and knock it out here. And I think I will go for that. I'm EV'd to be a little slower than most Calyrex-Ices are on these teams, unless they're like pretty like a negative speed nature, and they typically are not these days, so yeah. So I am risking a lot going into my Miraidon if they are a faster Calyrex or a slower one in Trick Room, but on this specific team I believe it was just Adamant. So yeah. I think they EV a lot into bulk and attack on this team and not a lot into speed. So that should go into my favor. Yeah. They do go for the Thunderclap into my Urshifu, which is kind of weird because they have Trick Room up. But yeah, we do move first. We get the Quark Drive and the Electric Terrain up, and that is why we wanted to force the Terrestrialization out early on the Calyrex, because we do just take a one-hit knockout on their Restricted with our Paradox Pokemon. And now we're in a really good spot for Dazzling Gleam late game. They're probably going to get the Rillaboom in now, but I think that is a-okay with me. Yep, Rillaboom is out. They burn their Terrestrialization, so locking into Dazzling Gleam late game will always knock out the Raging Bolt, I believe. I don't remember if they were the Booster Energy one. So the Quark Drive goes away. Big whoop. We're going to go into the Farigiraf here to get a Drain Punch off. Yes, that is correct, right? If I have the... Yeah, so if I have the Urshifu with the Focus Sash intact, out of Trick Room, Close Combat plus Dazzling Gleam will easily win the game. So got into a weird spot a little bit, but got the Iron Hands in, and yeah, they went for Grassy Glide. Not really connecting that Armor Tail is such a big deal for them, but we will take it. Wasting a lot of turns to the Armor Tail switches. So big Thunderbolt, that was definitely the Booster Energy one. I think at this point though, we should be moving first, and a Foul Play plus a Drain Punch double up should knock out the Rillaboom. If they're Assault Vest, yeah, Foul Play should probably do more. Second Noise, okay, yeah, they do cancel out. They see the writing on the wall. I will get Terrain Control as soon as Trick Room ends, and yeah, unless... I mean, on this team, if you know I'm Terra Fairy, you always forfeit there, but they could have tried to play it out on the assumption that I am a Terra Electric one and I have to lock into Draco Meteor, but it's probably pretty bad for them regardless. Okay, my opponent has an interesting team. They have Indeedee on a Terapagos team with a Grimmsnarl and another Fake Out Pokemon, and then Chi-Yu and Screamtail. Pretty odd combination of Pokemon. I think Urshifu is really good here. Cuts through screens, can knock out Incineroar. If they're Rocky Helmet on the Indeedee, that's a little annoying, but we will cope. Encore is really strong if they are a Calm Mind Terapagos, but I think Light Screen in general seems solid here, so I will lead the Whimsicott. Force them to go for the Terra Shift, I think. I mean, if they lead Indeedee, they don't have to, but they probably want to regardless. I think if I get the Terrain up, they don't have a lot of ways to actually hit the Iron Hands at all. Hearth Flame could be an option, but I think isn't necessary. I'm going to go with these guys. They seem pretty consistent. Double fighting into Terapagos, obviously pretty good. But I don't know Terapagos' weight. Let's check that. Always, yeah. Probably, if you're playing this team, get familiar with the low kick calcs, because I sure don't know them. Low kick is 40 BP versus the Terra Shell base Terapagos. And the Terastallization one is 80 BP, so Drain Punch is pretty much always going to be better unless you really need a little bit of extra oomph. That 5 BP could matter, but usually not. Okay, Grimmsnarl Terapagos, totally fine. Definitely going to be a light screen for me, and I think a Volt Switch into the Grimmsnarl. I don't have to do that, though. I think my concern is them going for a Spirit Break, so I will just go for the Volt Switch in the Grimmsnarl. I could Electro Drift it too, but it seems unnecessary. Like a Spirit Break will do a lot to my Iron Hands, but I can always Drain Punch a lot of the HP back. So I will go for that. Okay. I could have maybe gone for Moonblast into the Grimmsnarl too, which would have been a cool play, but I can always go for it next turn if that was a KO regardless. Gotta be a little concerned, actually, about... I'm gonna go into the Iron Hands here just because it's gonna tank any hit. If they go for a Calm Mind, I think I have to be wary of them switching out into the Indeedee to block an Encore. But I can also exploit that pretty hard, yeah. So if they think they're safe to go for a switch to the Indeedee, I can switch to Miraidon this turn and catch them, but I also don't love that. Indeedee switching in would be kind of a pain. Honestly, if they keep setting up Calm Minds, it's still not great. I think I'm going to go for the Encore and the switch, though. Light Screen Up is solid. Is this necessary? Drain Punch will do a lot. They're not doing a lot back to me. I don't think this play is necessary, even though it would be very cute to nail them this turn with that. I don't think it's necessary at all. Like, it's definitely like just flexing for no reason. Yeah, we could have gotten it. So the play I was thinking of, just to be clear in case I didn't state myself clearly, was because I have the slower Pokemon, Iron Hands is slower than most Grimmsnarl. I can switch out the Iron Hands second after the Grimmsnarl comes in, bring in the Miraidon and get the Quark Drive active. They go for Protect though, so it wouldn't have worked, so they played it very safe, but we exploit that by Moonblasting and Drain Punching the Indeedee slot for potentially a KO next turn. Probably not with the Moonblast, but definitely with the next Drain Punch. Alright, with the Moonblast, that was probably a crit. It was not. Very nice. So free Moonblast, and I think... who do they have in the back? I mean, nothing actually loves taking a Moonblast and a Drain Punch. Even the Ensign doesn't love it. But I could also go after the Terapagos this turn with Moonblast Drain Punch, and I'm kind of tempted to. I think I will do that. They have burned the Protect. Them going for Psychic would be kind of annoying on the Indeedee, so I will go for a Moonblast and a Drain Punch just to break the shell and force them to go for a Terastallization later. They moved before my Whimsicott, meaning they are Choice Scarf, and now I am Choice Scarf, and I've lost my Assault Vest. Okay. Let's see how fast their Terapagos is. That's crazy. The thing about that is I can still just, like, if they go for... Earth Power is fine, I'm tanking that. Yeah, I do have Light Screen up, so I basically have an Assault Vest, and I'm healing a fair bit. They haven't intimidated me, and they don't have Reflect, so even though this is not super effective, I am doing a little bit of damage and healing a little bit too. Yeah, I think Earth Power, they'll get the stab boost from the Stellar, I believe. They're leftovers, so not Covert Cloak, good to know. Can't lock into Scarf Fake Out against them and get any value out of it. But Urshifu is looking pretty solid. Grimmsnarl, that's fine. I think Moonblast should KO that. Could lock them into Earth Power, but against Miraidon seems very foolish to do that. Yeah, I'm just going to go for a Drain Punch. They can Reflect, and they probably will, but, you know, the HP is pretty valuable still. And I'm just chipping it. Okay, reflect, sure. No terrestrialization means they're not going to do that much damage this turn. So this is all working out fine. Kind of, ooh, that living could be bad. Earth Power again. Don't crit through the light screen. We are kind of chilling then. Yeah, light screen and Assault Vest hands, even though we don't even have it, they had to commit a lot of resources to deal with that. I guess that's why the Drain Punch did so much to their DD. They're like max speed special attack instead of max HP defense, which I'm used to seeing. But yeah, we did so much damage there. I think we're kind of chilling. Could be the Ensign in the back. What is it? Probably Chi-Yu in the back that they have. How many turns of terrain left? One more turn of light screen potentially, but probably closer to 4. So I think I'm just going to go for a Moonblast, chip whatever's in the back down, and go for a Drain Punch. Okay, protects fine. Moonblast should KO the Grimmsnarl. I guess they can Parting Shot. Yep, no, they give me the Grimmsnarl. So who do you have in the back, bud? They're preserving their Terapagos, which is probably just to make sure that they can hit me hard with the... There's something cute we can do, actually. So I think what they've gone for here is they are delaying their turns very deliberately on the terrestrialization. They're doing less with the earth powers, but they're sacrificing something. And that is... Okay, it is Screamtail. That's not what I was expecting, but that'll work. So they don't really threaten any damage. They can disable my Drain Punches, which is kind of annoying. But I think that's fine. I'm going to go for a Light Screen, I think. Let's just go Tailwind, though, right? I should probably switch out. Right? Or can I just preserve the Focus Sash and win? Probably. I like Tailwind here, and... another Drain Punch is fine. Like, they can Encore lock me, which is whatever. Or Disable lock me, but that's fine. Could have gone for Tailwind here to outspeed and hit the Drain Punch first, but I think they should just be disabling my Iron Hands as disable, so I think that's fine. But yeah, they have finally terrestrialized to gain the HP. Unfortunately, that does make them very weak to my Miraidon. And Urshifu combination. There's the Tailwind. We will be outspeeding the Screamtail in the back. It's kind of a tricky set usually with the Encore disable, but as long as they like bring us pretty low here, we should be chilling. And we can lock them into disable if we want to. We can lock them into Starstorm too. Maybe we just go for Light Screen though. Big damage for sure. How many turns of Reflect left? And Light Screen. They're almost out of Light Screen turns, which is cool. I kind of just want to go for a Light Screen. And I should win with Terapagos in the back. Oops. Yeah, I went for Light Screen and didn't realize, well, I realized, but a little too late that because we are locked, okay, they disable a move, but they probably should have encored me into my priority move, which is fine. No more Light Screens. Iron Hands is moving faster here. We struggle. Hit the Screamtail for a little bit. So this was solid for us because we get the free switch. So even if they had tried to protect, if we hit into the Screamtail, we're in such a good spot. And we can Encore them next turn unless they Encore us this turn, which they did not. Encore them into protect, that is. So we get the double switch. One more turn of terrain left. We are a Choice Specs Pokemon, so that's not ideal. But we can crit through their Light Screen and hit them with a Surging Strike, so I think we're fine. Oops. Swap that in. On one of the sides, please. Thank you. And here we go. So now we're in a cool spot. I think Terra, because the Light Screen is up, I can go for the Terra Stellar, or the Terra Water Surging Strikes and knock out their... it won't knock out the Terapagos, but it'll get close. This is probably incorrect, actually. I think I just go for a Surge here into this guy and go for a Electro Drift into it as well. Because Because if they protect, I knock it out. And if they don't, I'm pretty sure a +1 Calm-Minded Starstorm doesn't knock out my Miraidon at all. But I guess this is potentially risking a crit if they protect the Screamtail. But in the face of the Urshifu, that feels pretty unlikely. Okay. Good play. Yeah, good play. I still think Surging Strike is likely to knock out, but if they go for another move here, I am in some trouble, I think. It depends, honestly. It depends. Oh, that doesn't knock out. They're going to have enough turns with screens and Earth Power knocks me out. Oh my goodness, okay. I thought for sure that would knock out. I'm used to Mystic Water calcs, but yeah, that sure doesn't, and now we're in some trouble. Starstorm, okay, so we should be covered still, but looking kind of dicey. I thought that would knock out for sure. Okay. Still does nothing to the Miraidon, so that's cool. Even at +1, because of the light screen. That's cool. Yeah, I forgot about that. I had it covered, but not because I'm good, but because the team is good, so that's cool. We should always outspeed them. They have to crit us still. How many turns of Reflect left? Too many turns, okay. I think this should just be a Surging Strike into you and probably an Electro Drift. How many turns of Tailwind do we have? 1. I think Electro Drift does enough here, so we just cover for the Screamtail protecting again and Electro Drift this guy. Yeah, they do get the double protect, so if I had tried to target that guy down, that would have been an issue. We do give them the opportunity to get a Terra Starstorm crit onto my Miraidon, so a little scary still. But unless they get a lot of double protects, Electro Drift should knock them out. I gave them more of an opening than I should have. I think there was probably a 100% way to navigate that endgame, and I just didn't go for it. They definitely played well and gave themselves the max odds here, though. They could have crit 2 Terra Starstorms, and now they get plenty of chances to get double protects, so not super well played on my part. We do live, though. That's cool. Close game. The light screen does look like it's going to save us, though. Because Electro Drift should be a knockout unless they get us out of electric terrain, and then they will live, so. Let's see. 3 turns of terrain, I think we can stave off the triple protect. Let's hope so. So if they had gotten 2 Calm Minds up, that would have been kind of tricky. They played pretty well, though. Like, I think they could have left me an easy opening to win the game outright if they had switched out the Indeedee and Knock-On for Protect. But because they did, because they didn't Calm Mind, we got into a pretty solid spot because I didn't make that unsafe play. But yeah, the Choice Scarf Indeedee paired with the Disable Screamtail is kind of crazy. Healing a lot, but without Grassy Terrain, I think they won't be able to heal out of range here. Okay, they don't go for the double protect, which to me seems foolish, but yeah, we should be knocking out here. Yeah, good game. Surprised they went for the double protect earlier and then just like bailed on it this time. I think there is a chance if they get the double to live, but if they get the triple, they always win for sure. I saw it of a crit, so definitely played a little odd for me here. I think the light screen ended up saving my butt, but yeah, just closing out in games in Tailwind with the Urshifu Surging Strike, a good option on hyper offensive teams. Not a new lesson, but definitely one where you need to know your roles a little bit better than I did in that endgame against the Screamtail. Alright, a Roaring Moon, Kyogre, Rillaboom, Okidogi, Tornadus, and Goldengo team. This is unlike pretty much anything I have seen this metagame. So the Bugterra might bite us a little bit. It's probably decent against Okidogi. Good against Rillaboom, actually. Interesting. We'll see. So obviously Rhydon's kind of cool into... it feels pretty good against the Roaring Moon. It feels good against the Kyogre. I think even though they probably lead Rillaboom, I'm fine with that. I can just go for a Light Screen and maybe switch right off the bat. Or should I... Is there a reason to do that? Kind of just waste my time? Probably not. I can threaten Power Whip. They don't have any... Tornadus as a lead would be really threatening if I lead the Hearthflame Whimsicott, so I don't think I will do that. Do I need to get Tailwind up this match? And it's pretty nice, honestly. I can kind of just trade Fake Outs if I want to. I think Iron Hand's really good here if I get the light screen up, so I think I'll make that a priority. Urshifu in Rain seems solid as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for that. Yeah, if I can get out of terrain or out of Tailwind, or at least even Tailwind conditions, I can beat the Okidogi and the Goldango with the Surging Strike. Kyogre doesn't love taking that either if I go for the Terastallization there. I don't imagine I'll end up Terastallizing the Urshifu, but it is a possibility, especially against the Tornadus, just to tank a Bleak Wind a little bit better if I've taken a little bit of chip already. So we'll see, but definitely a very dynamic matchup. Okay, Rilla Tornadus, so we do kind of get what we want a little bit. I think this is just going to be a light screen and a... Should I switch? Yeah, let's go light screen, I think. Light screen, easy peasy. I can switch into Iron Hands and then I can honestly just double the next turn. Just go into the Miraidon the next turn, get a late game Tailwind. That seems pretty good. Who can they switch in on the Rillaboom after that happens? Maybe getting a little ahead of myself. I think light screen is always correct. They're going to have to... They go for Fake Out, switch out the next turn, so maybe I do just stay in, actually, and go for a full switch into the Torn. I think I'll go for that. Because if they go for Fake Out, I can Encore them next turn. Yeah, they don't even go for it, so... Probably breaking down a Focus Sash here, but I'm fine with that. Scary Face, okay. Oh, are you Choice Banded High Horsepower? Oh my goodness, I think they were Choice Band High Horsepower and they just didn't knock out because of the little bit of EVs we have to tank that. That is wild. I would have taken a lot on the Iron Hands too, so I am very glad that's not what happened. That's crazy. Let's think about going to the Urshifu. Well, let me run a calculation. Urshifu into... I'm pretty sure that's banded, honestly. Let's go into the Iron Hands and Drain Punch it out. Or maybe even go for Terra Bug. Am I going to need my Terra Fairy? Maybe not. But I do just like going for a Fake Out into the Rillaboom a little bit and a Moonblast. Seems solid. I did like getting the light screen up. That's very appreciated. So yeah, let's just go for a Fake Out into the Rillaboom. I could Drain Punch, but I think I will delay a turn to make sure I have my... Let's Moonblast the Torn for sure. I think if they get Tailwind up, it's not that big of a deal. I could be giving them a free switch on the Rillaboom, but I doubt it. Like, they're not really that pressured. That looks like a crit Fake Out. Nope, just that much damage. That's cool. So we don't have Tailwind up this turn. We're going to have one extra turn of Tailwind on them, so that's fine. And we Moonblast into the Torn. So all in all, not losing the Restricted there was very lucky. I need to run the calc to see if they're banded, but I think they are. Miraidon. Oh yeah, that's super Choice Banded. +1, like, that was almost certainly a roll to kill. Or to knock out, sorry. Well, actually... It depends on their EV spreads entirely, but if they're max attack, that's super in their favor to knock out. So here comes their booster energy guy. I think that's fine, because I can still just go for a Tailwind Drain Punch, I have to imagine is still fine. I could Terra Bug here, but if they Acrobatics, that's kind of annoying. Yeah, I'm not going to really need my Terra for much else. Let's go for the Terra Bug. Oops, not Terra Dark. And Tailwind and... yeah, let's just go after it. Well, they're probably Terra Flying, and that's going to be tricky to beat, truthfully. It's still definitely Tailwind and probably a... God, okay. I'm drain punching the Rillaboom. I think they're probably terrestrializing to flying, but I could have wild charged that, so I don't know. Weird spot. I will have one turn of offset Tailwind on them, which is cool. It was poison, okay, so I couldn't have wild charged that on the read anyways, but that is susceptible to a wild charge later on. We'll see what they go for. If they go for a weird move, I can Encore them into it and exploit it. Like, if they go for anything but Acrobatics this turn, I'm doing pretty well, but it might just be Breaking Swipe on Terra Poison, so this should be fine. We'll see how much this does. Zen Headbutt. Okay. That's kind of odd. I'll take that, though. That was definitely knocking out if I didn't Terra. And they do not get the flinch. Yeah, that's pretty ideal, gotta say. Now I can Encore them and go for another Drain Punch, potentially. Or just Wild Charge. Yeah, that's... Shedding your Dark typing is wild there. For poison? No, sir. That's a very strange set. I mean... Surely they switch out the Rillaboom. I'm just Wild Charging that slot to cover for it. Yeah. I mean, they kind of have to get hopeful and try and buy some turns, but... yeah, when you're Choice Band locked, when I can just Encore lock your Roaring Moon, it's not looking great. Unless they flinch me with Zen Headbutt here, I do like my spot a whole lot. And they only have a 50% chance to even target the Iron Hands, I believe, because of Encore's weird targeting mechanics, yeah. So we get lucky there. And Wild Charge does knock out the Kyogre in one. That has got to be frustrating for them. So with Rain Up, now I think I just have to get a little tap into the Roaring Moon, and then with the offset on the Tailwind turns, I can get my Urshifu in and knock that out in one hit with Surging Strike, so I do like my spot a fair bit. Okay, let's verify the turns. One more turn of Tailwind for them, but two more for me. So yeah. Oh, yeah, two more. As said, and we can just go for a Moonblast into the Rillaboom, chip it into maybe Dazzling Gleam range, and go for a Wild Charge to KO the Urshifu. Zen Headbutt, going for the flinch and potentially a knockout, fair enough. But we should be fine here. Lower their special attack. Moonblast, probably going to be close to it KO. Locking into U-turn means they can't beat... they do flinch. That's pretty bad. Pretty bad indeed. I think Moonblast is going to come close to a knockout on them. That's really bad. Because now they can knock me out with ease. They're locked into U-turn. Maybe I just go into the Urshifu. So I can... Yeah. So going to be a weird endgame here, but I think we're still fine. Even if we do get flinched again, I'm trying to cover for them flinching this turn, because if they do, I don't knock out the Rillaboom with Moonblast potentially, and then it's just like a really bad spot. So they go for the Zen Headbutt, of course. Not going to knock out, but... Okay, we do move. So the intention there is, if they U-turn my Whimsicott and knock me out, then their Roaring Moon will leave the Encore lock, and they can potentially win. I mean, probably not, but maybe, with the Booster Energy Roaring Moon, just because my Miraidon is at like 7 HP. Maybe they can figure out a way to do it with enough flinches, but by switching here, I will pretty much always be able to get my Whimsicott in and set up a Tailwind at some point. And yeah, they can go for another flinch here, but if they don't get it, I'm fine. I probably should have just Aqua Jetted there and Wild Charge, but after the Rillaboom went down, it felt less necessary because, yeah, I'll always get Tailwind up. I should probably be angling to get the Miraidon and the Urshifu in on the same turn, potentially. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to win this game. The Zen Headbutt flinch chance just kind of psyched me out, and I was going for trying to get speed control and an Electro Drift, but given the ability for them to get a triple protect, I suppose, I should probably play a little differently than that. But overall, good game. The Choice Band Rillaboom. If they take that knockout, I guess we never really used the we didn't use the Miraidon to take any KOs after that first turn, but I think the pressure of it in the back was still definitely weighing on my opponent's mind a bit. They needed to make a little bit more progress to where they had to switch out the Rillaboom instead of letting me... Yeah, instead of letting me Wild Charge the switch. They could have just stayed in a couple more turns, but definitely a good battle for the Terabug. taking full advantage of them being locked into the high horsepower. Okay, pretty crazy team. They have Miraidon themselves, but as a Tailwind setter, also Whimsicott, but could be Roaring Moon too. They have the Illusion, Zoroark, Hosui, another Quark Drive Abuser in the Iron Moth, and then Milotic. Milotic I feel like doesn't come for them at all here, so I can ignore that. Iron Moth could be kind of good if they're like Terra Ground or something crazy, so I'm a little worried. Light Screen seems spectacular against them, so I am going to lead with that, I think. Could go Trick Room. Like, I think the Iron Hands with the Farigiraf is definitely a solid option for me here. So I may try to get that set up for me. Late game? Urshifu's fine. I think Iron Hands Farigiraf is definitely the mode I am leaning towards going. Their team generally is just way faster than mine. I'm a little worried about Sludge Wave on the Iron Moth. Yeah, they don't have priority blocking, so I think I will go with the Iron Hands in the back. So I think goal here is lead the Whimsicott and the Miraidon. I think they're going to be worried about me going Hyper Offense mode on them. I think they have a stronger mode, but leading this way at least suggests that I might be going that direction. And then late game with the Light Screen up, the Farigiraf and the Iron Hands are going to be incredibly hard to handle for them if they don't have a taunt Pokemon. So Zoroark, Hisui definitely could have that. Yeah, Roaring Moon's fine. They could go for like Dragon Claw or something crazy, but I feel like this is a fairly safe turn to go for a Light Screen and a Volt Switch. Yeah, I'm not going to have speed advantage over these guys regardless, so I think yes. Let's go for a... So if they don't Terra, then Dazzling Gleam is obviously so good here, but if they do, which is like very, very likely, it's kind of bad. Let's just Volt Switch, play the turn straight. That's insane, but okay. They just go for that, so they can Encore lock me, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. It's tricky, because they can... Okay, they move second and they go for Tailwind. Fair enough. I think I'm probably going to go into the Farigiraf on the Whimsicott then to block an Encore. But that is definitely not what I was expecting to see. That's wild. I'll preserve the Whimsicott just so that late game I can sweep with the Miraidon potentially. But yeah, that's not what I was expecting. So if they're Terra Ground, that'd be pretty crazy, but they could go for that. Do they have any levitating or flying type partners? Not really, so I don't expect that, but it could be that with a discharging Miraidon, could be the case. Which would be really bad here. I could at least fake out it next turn though, so fine. Dazzling Gleam, gonna do a lot. I don't think they have a knockout with Acrobatics, no? Yeah, cool. And I'll get fake out in, which is super ideal. Unless they're Terra Ghost, which is like pretty unlikely. And now at this point I think a low kick easily knocks them out. Even if they Terastallize, I think it would get pretty close, so that's cool. And they have set up Tailwind, so I think we can set up our own Trick Room now with a little fear, unless they are a Chlorophyll Whimsicott, which would be the only way for them to taunt through the Armor Tail. Unless they are Covert Cloak, which they're not, they're Boost Energy, so yeah, this feels good. They went for Acrobatics, which confirms to me they are not the Zoroark. Cool. Yeah, this is big damage. That is definitely in range of the CC, or the low kick. Yeah, that does so little damage on the Whimsicott, I'm not even really pressed about it. So, I feel pretty safe on the Whimsicott slot, so I kind of just want to go for Psychic Noise into that, and Drain Punch, truthfully. I could Wild Charge it too. Do I think that's going to knock out? They've revealed Protect, they've showed a willingness to go for it. I'm just going to go after the Whimsicott, especially since I'm not feeling a lot of pressure from the Roaring Moon just yet. And I'll go for Drain Punch because I think Wild Charge could knock out, but it's not really necessary in my opinion. Boom, big damage. Yeah, Wild Charge, Psychic Noise would have KO'd, but I like the HP a little bit better. I don't want to lose all the HP from the Wild Charge when that could be kind of critical against their Pokemon later on. Boom, big damage. Clearly not a bulky Whimsicott. And Dazzling Gleam. Yep. Light screen paying a lot of dividends here. The Tailwind goes down, but they're probably not going to want to set it up again. So I think I can Drain Punch here and Psychic Noise if I want to. Wild Charge is a little bit safer. Let's just Psychic Noise and hit this guy. It's like really not that big of a threat. They could switch into the Hisuian Zoroark, but usually that's like lead as a Pokemon. Wild Charge would cover the Iron Moth a little bit better, but I'm not so worried about that, truthfully. Once their Tailwind goes away, yeah, they just stay in. We take the HP and get back up, not to full, but pretty close to it. So yeah, this is the value of Light Screen in a Miraidon Mirror against any special attacking primarily, or a team that attacks with special attacks primarily. With the Drain Punch healing, along with the immense power of the Drain Punches, you're healing pretty much any damage you take right back, and your opponent just really can't trade with your Iron Hands well at all. So you can kind of pivot away from the hyper offensive Tailwind mode and lean harder on your Trick Room mode in most matchups. This team has a lot of really excellent speed ceilings and floors to where your opponent has to deal with both your hyper offensive Tailwind mode as well as your Trick Room mode. And they are going to set up the Electric Train for our Iron Hands right away. So Bug would be bad against there. Let's look at our Tailwind turns, or Trick Room turns. I think we have 2 more, which means we can afford to Beta Protect. Let's think. Yep, 2 more turns. So I can set up Tailwind on the last turn of Trick Room if I don't get double knocked out here. So essentially we just have to stop that from happening. Usually the Miraidon is Choice Specs, so... If they're Terra Fairy, I don't want to Wild Charge them. I think the best play is just to Psychic the... Just like double into this guy. Most likely. Preserve the Terrestrialization and try and knock out the Iron Moth. That's fine. Like I said, them protecting is okay. I just have to make sure I don't get double knocked out this turn. Which Dazzling Gleam would have to crit through Light Screen to do. And they'd have to be the Dazzling Gleam set in the first place, which would be annoying, but revealing that would mean I can lock into an electric move. Parabolic Charge, okay. Interesting. That's kind of scary, actually. Crits the Farigiraf, fine. So that means they are a bulkier set, most likely. I think I come in here and I set up Tailwind on the last turn of Trick Room. That's fine. I can Encore lock their Iron Moth here, and I think I will do that. They'd have to be Terra Dark to cover for this. If they are, what's the issue? Nothing really. I think... Does Miraidon feint to low kick? Surely not. I imagine it's full weight. Oh my goodness, yeah, it actually does. It takes 80. The problem with that is the Parabolic Charge still, I think, so I'm going to go for the Encore and Drain Punch. If they're Terra Dark, nice, you got me. But I think I could still win with Terra Fairy. Terra Dark seems pretty unlikely. Yeah, Terra Grass is totally fine. Free Dazzling Gleam target. We don't get the Tailwind up, so I guess we're playing Miraidon mind games a little bit, but I think we should just, yeah, they lock into that Protect in front of the Encore. That should spell GG for them. Yeah, I think them protecting just made my route way simpler, and probably, like, unless they're Terra Dark, I just win on the spot. Because I can always go for Terra Fairy and 2 Drain Punches to deal with the Miraidon, and I guess they need to get an absurd amount of protects with the Volcarona or the Iron Moth and a burn with like Heat Wave or something. This should just be curtains though. I don't know how heavy Iron Moth is, but I think Drain Punch is safer regardless. Okay, they get a double, fair enough. And we Encore lock their Miraidon. Whimsicott's Dream endgame. The protects are off-synced. Oh, they get the double protect too. That's really bad for them because I can attack it this turn with both if I want to. So it's just a matter of who I want to attack. I think I will always beat their Miraidon with mine in the back with Whimsicott on the field. So I'm just going to double target the Iron Moth. They do both have to go for double protects here, but the Miraidon goes first. doesn't get it. The Iron Moth does get it, so I targeted it incorrectly there. Regardless, I still can Encore lock it unless they have another priority move. We are in the clear here. A little bit. They have gotten an astonishing amount of protects, but should be fine. Because they are offset, they cannot go up on the same turn unless they get a triple protect here, and then they will both be active. And I can't get one. Like, their best play is generally to go for the quadruple protect. Oh my goodness, they got a triple protect on the Miraidon too? Alright, go for the quad, man. Yeah, they don't. So their best play was actually to lock into protect there. Because if they get the protect, then Encore ends on both of the Pokemon on the same turn, and I can't lock one of them. So maybe they can find a gap that way. Oh, that does so much damage. Okay. But the Miraidon is now going for its triple protect, so... or quadruple, so we should be fine. We're at full HP. Looking solid. And I'll just low kick the Miraidon. I think they really should have canceled. They're allergic to canceling the game. They're playing it out, they think they have a chance. Or they just want to see it to its natural conclusion. All fine by me. Let's see how much this low kick does. They do not get the quad protect, and low kick does a hefty chunk. And now we can just go for a, what? I guess they could Encore stall me if they get infinite protects, I suppose. Yeah, they have one more turn of Encore. I guess there's really no reason to go for a... Oops, that's a mistake. Yeah. Obviously, they get the protect off there. That was just a targeting mistake, but Moonblast should knock them out regardless, and they do not get the double this time. That will be it. Yeah, kind of a slow-paced endgame on the Encore lock, but overall that is what the Whimsicott is playing for. When you switch it out early, like most people are used to not having to worry about it late game, but if you play a team like this, you get the light screen up early, there is a chance the Whimsicott can survive into the late game, and if you catch a Pokemon protecting and get it in on a KO or a switch, it does become incredibly difficult for them to handle it. They do finally cancel out. Do they DC too? Interesting. You love to see it. Encore is frustrating, for sure. When you get Encore locked, it's for the first time, it is never a good feeling. But that's part of the learning experience of Pokemon. You kind of have to get cheesed on ladder a little bit to figure out what the strat is, and that it's an option in the first place. In open team sheet, you don't have to worry about it. It's like Encore, okay, I could plan around it, but in a closed team sheet ladder situation, unless you know the team coming in, it's like, you know, any move could realistically be there on a Whimsicott. So they guessed wrong and got Encore locked, and a little upset about it. Fair enough. So that's going to do it for a battle today featuring Luca Ceribelli's first place in the world team at the Pokemon VGC World Championships in the Masters division. So congrats to him. If you guys want to use this recreation, I have the rental code in the top right, as well as in the description below, along with the Pokepaste featuring the EV spreads that I created for the team. Basically, if Luca ends up revealing his actual EV spreads, he might not, because Regulation G will be replayed later in the 2025 season, but if he does, I will have that posted in the pinned comment as well as updated in the description. So if you guys enjoy these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Got lots more Regulation H and World retrospective content on the way. And yeah, with all that being said, peace y'all.